scared the hell out of me, and because I'm working with data and a lot of data accumulated in our systems. It is central a lot of times, and yeah, it was very interesting to see what are the vulnerabilities out there and how we can tackle the challenges. But I'm going to talk about the flip side of the coin. What is happening in terms of advancements in AI and how it is changing our lives and businesses. So first of all, how many of you are students? All right, great. Right time, right place for students learning and understanding about AI and data science. So that's great. I'm working at Data 61, where we understand and learn what is the most important challenges in terms of data science and AI for the whole country, and we try to tackle those problems using data-driven approaches. Specifically, we are working on a very interesting project at Ribit. If you're not on Ribit, I encourage you right now, sign up into Ribit to find interesting internships and jobs out there. And probably by the end of the talk, you will have better ideas. What are the interesting industries that you can apply, and just to start the experience. So I would like to talk about the good stuff. Let's go to 2050. Hopefully all of you still there. And this is Darling Harbor, 2050, very cute. And classroom at Macquarie, a professor talking about history, history of science, history of industry revolutions. And what they're going to say will be very interesting. They're going to talk about industrial revolutions, about electricity, about steam engine, but most importantly, they're going to talk about AI. And they're going to say, the fourth industrial revolution started 100 years ago. It's 2050, right? 100 years ago, we started the AI revolution, but it didn't kick off in the right direction until 2010, probably. And the main day for the industry to take off was 2019. It's this year. Why is that? If you follow the reports and what other companies are doing on, in terms of implementing AI and in terms of disrupting the industries, you'll see a lot of new and interesting projects are happening around the world. And it's not just about the computation power, it's not just about the amount of data, it's also about the dreams, about the projects that we're taking on that are changing the lives. We're using AI in different industries. We're using AI for finding the cure for the cancer. We're using AI to understand each one of us behaviors, likings, how we interact, and a lot more than that. But if you look at this picture, you'll see one of the main driving will be the actual technological improvement that exponentially making it more available and making the whole AI and software available and usable for everyone in the world. A woman in Mongolia right now has enough computation power and access to a lot of different softwares and a lot of different applications that probably like 20 years ago, head of a country or a president would have only accessible. And in 10 years, you will see the same exponential growth and changes will disrupt many companies, many industries. We will not have many of the companies right now performing the same task and delivering the same goods. It's going to change drastically. Some of the examples, if 10 years ago or 20 years ago, somebody will tell you your children are talking to their dolls and they're having a conversation, it would have been something you will think about it's mad or they're probably crazy. But right now, the Barbie dolls, they're talking with children, they can understand, have a conversation. I'm not saying it's going to be a very meaningful conversation, but it's still going to be interesting enough for the students. We love beers here in Australia. A lot of brewing companies are using AI and data-driven approaches to understand what their customers' needs are. And also they're using AI these days to generate new flavors. Creative arts. So probably heard about GANs, generative adversarial networks. The deepfake is one of the really infamous good example of GANs. So they generate lots of different media released using GANs. Like if you have seen the Facebook founder talking about the conspiracy, or leaders of the world singing Imagine by John Lennon. Very, very realistic outputs. It's very difficult these days to understand what is fake and what is right. Apart from those probably notorious products, we will have some interesting ones as well. So Chef Watson will use AI and data-driven technologies to give you some really interesting recommendations about what to make based on ingredients you have or the flavors you like. Ampere is another technology generating music, like the whole album, using AI. Energy sector doing the same. BP, General Electric wants to have Internet of Energies. For the financial industry, the same. I used to work for a fintech company called Nod. And at Nod, we were generating financial advices using AI, digesting documents and previously generated financial advices, sending it to an AI process. And then at the end of it, we will understand how this document has been generated and what are the key parameters that will turn off and on sentences or paragraphs. Chatbots are helping, robo-advisors are helping people to get advices easier and cheaper. Healthcare is actually my favorite, one of my favorites. I love all of them. A lot of different use cases. Most of them either related to computer vision or natural language processing. So to break it down for you, if you're learning AI or data science these days, make it easy. Either go down the path with natural language processing or computer vision. Do both of them even better. But these are the main growth areas. If you look at all of these initiatives, they're mainly driven by one of these initiatives. These initiatives are mainly driven by these technologies, either natural language processing, understanding. The natural language is very complex. That's why we needed to wait to earn the right to tackle the challenge, either by accumulating a lot of data or by having the computation power. But at the end of the day, now we have enough power, enough resources, and enough ingredients to tackle those challenges. And you can see in healthcare, they're using AI to understand which genes are related to cancer, using data-driven approaches in AI to help augment the reading the X-ray images or the MRI images, which is a very, very time-consuming task for a doctor. And these are all just very, very recent initiatives. For the manufacturing, you probably have seen these driverless cars that are doing great these days. They're talking about these projects, Uber, Tesla, NVIDIA, they're all competing with each other, making different algorithms. Recently, NVIDIA was talking about like having more than 200 ensemble machine learning algorithms working with each other hand in hand to understand what is happening while you're driving, understanding the signs, understanding the movements of other cars, how they're approaching you, how the road is dividing or changing the direction, or other signs, and everything need specific project to be accurate and handling the whole challenges. So right now, Uber doing the same thing, because there are lots of huge potential in having these automations. And also for farming industry, we're in Australia, we do have a lot of farming projects, but a company in US using computer vision to understand which one of the plants are actually pests, to directly use pesticide to those plants rather than just targeting the whole farm. And in retail industry, some interesting project, Amazon Go, probably you heard about it. They're not using employees anymore, it's just technology. And also Walmart using these robots to scan the aisles to understand what are the shortages. So probably by these examples, I'm going to cut it short because there are lots of them, and I'm conscious of time as well. Probably by all these examples, you'll see that we are in a very, very special moment in our lives. And if still those doesn't make any sense to you, you haven't used them, or you think that you're not going to use them, social media apps, definitely all of you are using them every day. They're all using AI to understand you, to better serve you in some sense, but to better serve them, giving you more relevant advertisement, more targeted advertisements. Sundar Pichai said AI these days are equal to like finding fire, or using the inventing the wheel, and even maybe more important than that. And that's very, very obvious for us, because we can see the impact of AI in the industries that they neglected. So you can see Blockbuster was very, very successful 2010. And even when they went for bankruptcy, they were a lot ahead of the game. And Netflix just came in using this data-driven technologies. They were using the recommender systems to understand what are the actual things that you're interested in. Very complex recommender systems. Reinforcing it from different ways, understanding based on your preferences, your friend preferences, even based on the scenes that probably you paused, or maybe the other stuff that how you interacted with the movies. A lot of complex features added to the recommender system to make it as much as accurate as much as possible. Kodak was on top of their game until 1996, and they wanted to make sure that they will be there forever because they were capturing our memories, our lives. But then Instagram just came a lot later, and look at Instagram. They have a lot of users right now, a lot of photos captured every day, and probably all of us using Instagram as well. So just make sure you don't drop. If you're having a business, or if you are going to join a business, you're going to drive the change. As a student, as a junior scientist, you're going to be part of the change, but also you're going to drive the change. But what is AI? It is very interesting that a lot of people talk about AI, and there are lots of definitions out there, probably some of them ambiguous. What is AI in the end? Is it just a line of code, or should be some kind of intelligence behind it? What is the intelligence? If and else's will be enough to make it AI. So to make it short, using data and machine learning is core and most important part of an AI product. So if you're not using any of these, probably it's not AI. And you can see many companies these days are calling themselves AI companies, where they're not using actually any AI. And there's lots of hype around it. That's trend and hype, which makes even push these companies or startups further to just claim the space. It's cool to be part of the game. It's cool to be called an AI company, but even you don't have the data, but still, it's fun. These days, most of these companies that are actually using AI, they're using the narrow intelligence. It means they're targeting a special problem. And either it's like classification or, I don't know, regression, whatever they're targeting, it's a targeted solution. We're hearing about artificial general intelligence, which is like a human. It can understand everything and blah, blah, but nothing's happening these days. It's just a research. So don't get too intimidated by that. I was reading a report a week ago, and it was very interesting that more than 40% of European startups are claiming to be an AI startup or company, but they're actually not. I don't know how. I don't have any stats about Australia. Hopefully, we are doing better, but that's not right. That will make it even worse, because then a lot of people will think that's actually a bubble and that's a trend, AI is not a real thing. So that will make it even more difficult for you guys when you join companies. Because many of the stakeholders, managers, by the time that you are ready to make the change, to make an impact, they would already think that this is just a hype and there's no real value in it. They either tried it or failed, or they just went under the hood of many of these interesting projects and they found no AI. The other challenge is the AI as a black box. How many of you know exactly how an airplane works? How many of you can actually make an airplane? But you use that, right? You trust it. Because it works. Because it has been tested. A lot of times it has been tested again and again and again. And although many of company leaders will think that AI is a black box, it actually isn't a black box. It's data and science. It's not data and magic. So we need to make sure we advocate that in our companies as well. We need to make sure we let everyone understand when it works, when it's tested, you can rely on. You can use it. You can leverage it in your work to get the insight, to do some interesting stuff. You don't need to understand every little bits and pieces if you're just going to use it. If it is tested, if it is trained by a professional, you can just leverage that. Understand there are some biases in data, there are some biases in algorithms, and also there are really interesting projects about demystifying the algorithms and the understandings inside the algorithms. Explainable AI, that's a really, really interesting topic. And you may argue probably it's better for some applications we have very clear visibility inside the AI, which is fair. Maybe for law enforcement, we would like to have that. But in the end, it's science. When it's tested, just accept it. Are we ready to accept it? Are we ready to move on? I think we are not ready yet, especially in Australia. Reports are not showing really good results. Shortage of skills is one of the main challenges. So hopefully you guys, when you enter the market, you'll bridge the gap. But apart from that, there are lots of things going wrong, from the strategy, from the data, central data repository, and many, many different stuff. So what should we do? In order to have a really good AI company, we should have strategic data acquisition. And that's coming from this guy, Professor Andrew Nguyen. Probably you already know him. He's a professor at Stanford. He used to be vice president at Baidu. He's doing a lot of interesting projects in industry and academia. And he probably knows this stuff. So why strategic data acquisition? Because that's the main thing. If you don't have data, how you're going to use your algorithms to understand from the data? How you're going to have a company, an AI company, when you don't have any data? A lot of the startups will just start with nothing, and they claim to be AI. I understand the cold start problem. I understand that they probably want to gather the data down the track. But unless you have enough data to understand from it and to infer, you're not a good AI company. To me, even not an AI company. Unified data warehouses are also crucial. I know Jeff talked about don't unify the stuff, and it's understandable from the security perspective, but unless you have the unified data warehouse, you cannot infer the general understanding of the whole thing in one place. You cannot use your data scientists to merge and mesh things together to see what are the underlying trends, what are the interesting nuggets. It's very difficult to have different silos in the companies run by, let's say, different managers, no collaboration, no data sharing, and do any data-driven decision making. Automation is also another key. If you start your job, make sure that you identify things that are not automated, taking too much of time, repetitive tasks, and you tackle them as soon as possible, because the automation is one of the most important things you can add value to your company. And roles going to change as we have AI in the companies. How we transform to be a really good AI company? Start with some small projects. If you go big, first day, you're probably going to overpromise, and you're probably going to fail, and then you'll lose the trust. Start small, gain the momentum, add value, and then iterate. When you're able to add value to the company, then you'll get backed by senior executives. They'll let you to build your team. You'll have the AI team in the company where you can do in-house work. It is sometimes difficult to outsource the stuff because of the business understanding, being close to the different functions, and constantly observing and interacting with different stakeholders. It is always the best for the companies when down the track they make their own AI team. And then when you have the AI team, the AI is not for the AI team. AI is for everyone. So make sure you teach everyone and share the knowledge across the company. Because it's not only you as a data scientist or AI expert who needs to know about AI. You also have a lot of stakeholders, a lot of different people that needs to help you, to give you access, to give you data, to give you understanding, to help you to maybe interact with your customers or anything, even the moral support. You still need everyone in the company to be aligned. And developing AI strategy, which is probably one of the main pain points in Australia based on some of the recent researches, is also very important. The patchwork is fine. I've seen a lot of patchwork in many big corporates, and it is still fine. But you need to have a strategy. From data acquisition all the way to making the impact to the customer and to your business goals. And then finally, communicating internally and externally, because everyone should know what is involved and what they will get out of this project. As I said, expectations are very important. Many projects fail because of too much expectation of AI. I know the hype around AI. I know I'm talking about revolutionizing the whole world, but it is incremental. You need to have steps, and you need to manage the expectation around the steps. So these are coming from Andrew Nagoyan, and he knows this stuff, but I think we can add something else. Think big, act small. And how to do that, how to think big. You guys as junior scientists will help doing that, because you will join these companies and you will think about every single process, all the strategies in place. You will rethink why we're doing like this. What are the challenges? What is the best way to do it? And by thinking about it, by providing the questions, you're actually adding a lot more value to the company, rather than just behind the computer, open your Jupyter notebook and say import scikit-learn. That is not going to add value as much as understanding the big problems. If you think about like this very, very old photo of a manufacturing company using steam engines. It's outside of the main room. A lot of people working in the manufacturing line. The steam is going to be pumped in and do the work. But then when the revolution comes, they had to rethink about everything. They had to redesign it. So when it is redesigned, it looks very different. So that's the way we need to tackle our challenges in different companies. We need to do the change. We need to think big about the challenges, about the problems, by asking the right question. Questions is the most important thing. A lot of different companies are actually disrupting the industry, thriving, just because of asking the right questions. And by thinking big, I mean thinking about the big challenges in the world or the big challenges in the company. So I'll give you a couple of examples about thinking big later, but about acting small. It means do the right thing, do the fundamental thing that is needed for your AI strategy. As I said, the data is the most important step. The fundamental step, you need to make it right. Garbage in, garbage out. If you don't care of the quality, if you don't take care of the quality and the quantity of your data, you will not have an AI company or even an AI tool. Another important thing about data, this sweet, innocent chatbot got released into Twitter, and after just 24 hours, it just became very racist. And you can see the importance of data and the visibility and the quality of data. So making sure that you accumulate and also monitor the quality. People are the most important asset for any company. And I always think people come first and technology comes second. So you need to make sure you're talking to stakeholders, making them aware of the change, making them aware of the steps and what are needed, what are the expectations. how you're going to deliver it. People are different, so that's why you need to just adjust the pace. Some of them very slow, some of them even don't walk or don't run. Hopefully you're the runner. You're going to drive the whole thing. As I said about the patchworks, it will do the job. But imagine if you redo the whole thing perfectly, you'll get a lot more traffic, right? That is the mentality of those companies that disrupt. If you're complacent, you'll think that, all right, 10% improve in our process or revenue or whatever, it's good enough. I can, Friday night, I can have a beer in a bar and we're all happy about it. But you need to change the mindset by pushing the boundaries. So imagine 60s, everything was great. We all hear about it. I wasn't there, so I'm just, okay, cool, all right. We have a witness, so we can testify that it was great, and we were having all these interesting, yeah. JFK wanted to change something forever and make a big impact. They choose to go to the moon, and what he said, we choose to the moon not because it's easy, because it's hard. They did the right work. The preparation, the people, the launch, and they did it. It was a very small step, but the impact was huge. And with AI, we can think about pretty much the same thing. Many of the projects can start with very, very small steps, but finally, they will have a huge impact in our lives. And one of the impacts that this project had, which Buzz Aldrin talked about it, was just the inspiration on the new generation. So it doesn't mean the impact is going to be direct. Sometimes the indirect impact is also important because we're talking about people. And the chain of events will happen just because of a very, very small movement. If you want to know about some of these moonshot thinkings, you can just look at these examples. So Google is a very good example of moonshot thinking. And they have different projects tackling very, very big problems, like the driverless cars, internet everywhere, with like very, very low-cost internet or free internet for everyone, delivering things rapidly. And that's the way very successful companies think about the challenges. That's the same mindset we should have when we're thinking about leveraging AI to solve the problems. If you know about AI, you probably heard about AutoML and other new projects happening to help data scientists to do the modeling or generate some really good results very easily by the help of other machine learning stuff. But this is not the actual challenge. The actual challenge is not just connecting your data set into machine learning algorithm and get the result. Defining the problem and looking at the problem in a different way that can be solved, can be addressed using AI is actually more important. So some actions. If you're having a business, or if you want to make a suggestion, it's the best for the businesses to have some of you guys, very young, talented people, joining the company to dig deep about the problems they have, about the challenges they have. Ask a lot of questions. Find out about every little thing happening in the company, about the processes, about the strategies. Have a lot of gatherings to brainstorm, to talk about how to solve those challenges. Make crazy solutions, crazy ideas. It's crazy until it's not. So don't worry about it. Just come up with whatever thing that comes to your mind, because then it may trigger something and it may become something great. So no limitations of the ideation. And then follow procedures. Follow the procedures to catalog them, to put it in place, to share with everyone, prioritize, and experiment with the ideas. And finally, it is the executives and managers' job to make sure they fund these great ideas, because that's where they can survive. That's the place that they can make sure some big challenges, some big problems can be handled just by these 5 very, very easy and also straightforward way of tackling the challenges. I'm conscious of the time, so I'm just going to end my talk here to say, in the honor of AI, we're going to have one giant leap for the mankind, and you are the driver of that leap. So thank you very much for your time, and ask me any questions you have.